What's up, everybody? As promised, we're back with our second edition, part 2 of the NCAA Bowl games, the Bowl Blitz, whatever you call it. It's been a little bit crazy with some of the cancellations and stuff like that, but we still made our picks and predictions. Just because they didn't play doesn't make us a bunch of losers. I mean, either way, we're going to cover the games that are from the 29th all the way to January 1st. Part 3 is going to be the national championship game, and then the game that is on January 4th. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see how we did, there'll be some descriptions and links and cards that are going to pop up. You can click that. But also in the description is our social medias and some bonuses for all of you, just as a thank you. I'm Matt with Beard Loss.
Brandon J. McDermott.
And at the Ohana Jones, Matt Brown.
Again, they're in there in the description. If you want to click them, cool. If not, let's get on to what you really are here for. We're going to start off with the new era Pinstripe Bowl. You have the Maryland Terrapins. Sorry. I told the guys that I wasn't going to butcher anything. That's going to be my one butcher, taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies.
When it comes to bowl games, you've got to look at players not participating and the talent level of the teams. That's what I always do. Even though last week I did the talent level of the teams and several teams were upset. For example, Central Florida upset Florida. You also have to look at which team is trending up. And for me, in this matchup, it's Maryland who's trending up. I don't care who they played or who they beat or who they've played the last few games, how they played the last few games. I like them to win here and to cover.
Yeah, I just think Virginia Tech will be too short-handed here. Their quarterback for most of the season, Braxton Burmeister, just entered the transfer portal, and I know he was in a rotation of sorts at the end of the season, but he's among a number of Hokies who won't be playing, and I know you guys like me saying the last name here, so I believe the Terps with Taulia Tagovailoa will have enough through the air to win handily in this one.
See, I was going to go with Virginia Tech just because I couldn't say that name. Debating switching it because you said it for me. I like Virginia Tech here with the points. And I know that a lot of the teams are having some people sit out, maybe some COVID. But what's really cool to me is throughout the research I saw that when they did the bowl games, there are a lot of offense versus defense matchups. And it's kind of like this one. Maryland kind of scores a little bit more on that 27 points a game where Virginia Tech is 24. But Virginia Tech not only has a better defense statistically, they also have a better record versus the spread this year. So I'm going to go with the defense. Next, we're going to talk about the Cheez-It Bowl, which I think might be my favorite bowl name and sponsor out of all of them. Clemson taking on Iowa State. What do you think, fellas?
Well, the Cheez-It Bowl, there's always a bowl of Cheez-Its in this house, but on paper, Clemson is loads more talented than the team who hails from small Ames, Iowa, about 90 minutes away from me. But Matt Campbell has a program that plays above its talent level, and he's a fantastic coach who coaches up his players to reach talent levels they wouldn't see otherwise. Clemson isn't falling off the map by any means. They'll be back next year, but this game, I expect Iowa State to win, even though their bell cow, Breece Hall, opted out of this game.
Look, I hate to put it like this, but this is a battle to save a season. Both programs had high expectations. Both find themselves competing for a bag of Cheez-Its at the end of the year. I think Clemson being without both of their offensive and defensive coordinators, not just their players who left for bigger and better things, will be too out of sorts against a senior-led Iowa State team. I like the Cyclones to win and cover here.
Yeah,
I would like to just mention I would fight over a bag of Cheez-Its at this point.
Yes. I mean, if I'm playing just for Cheez-Its, oh, baby, I'm suiting up. I don't care about all the money that I'm going to make in the draft and all the other programs I could go to because I'm in the Cheez-It Bowl. With that being said, Clemson holds their opponents on average to 15 points each game, and that defense could be the trend of it. That's a solid defense. Offense might be a little off the tracks, but I'm going to go with Clemson minus 1.5 just based on the better defense. Let's go with the Valero Alamo Bowl, where they have the Oregon Ducks taking on the Oklahoma Sooners.
Well, I will not pronounce Oregon that way, but both teams are being coached by their interim head coaches. And big game Bob Stoops, college football head coach, Hall of Famer, is going to be in town to coach the Sooners. Both teams have players who've opted out, but I got to go with the team who averages a touchdown more per game, and that's the Sooners. They're going to cover here.
This has turned into the next man up bowl, if you will, without both head coaches, and I'm still intrigued in a different way. First, who will show up for Oregon as they have like 30 players out for this game already? And then, of course, how will the legendary Bob Stoops do filling in as head coach for the Sooners? I think that sums it up to be in Oklahoma's favor. I think there'll be too much for Oregon to handle in this one.
I agree with you guys there. Not only that, Oklahoma averages 38 points a game. They're 8-4 against the spread. I think they're just too much no matter who's coaching them. Like you guys said, I like Oklahoma minus 4.5 here. Let's talk about the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Not my type of mayonnaise, but it is my type of team. Being a Tar Heel fan, I'm interested in this bowl. Maybe not too many people, but you have North Carolina taking on South Carolina.
Battle of the Carolinas. Both of these teams are 6-6, and whoever loses has to give up their state to the other one. So we'll have a single Carolina. But North Carolina averages 15 points and 160 yards more than the Gamecocks. Junior quarterback Sam Howell hasn't had the stats this year he's had in his freshman and sophomore year, both years under center, but he's still a playmaker with 23 touchdowns and just 9 interceptions. I expect him to have a big game, and I expect UNC to cover by 10.
Yeah, I'm really interested here as well, as North Carolina should be the better team and dominate, but their inconsistencies, to me, have been too noticeable. Others may look at South Carolina's shutout loss to Clemson to end the regular season and think that that's how this will go, but I say that's more than enough motivation for them to make a statement in this bowl game. I like first-year head coach Shane Beamer, and I like South Carolina to at least cover here.
I agree with Brandon here. I think Carolina's offense is better. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. Their defense isn't great, but I think their offense and their defense is just good enough to cover that spread. I like Carolina -9. Let's talk about the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. You have Tennessee and Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue has played well under head coach Jeff Brom, but this year they've had somewhat of a disappointing season. Tennessee, on the other hand, they've had a nice turnaround. Also of note, one of their 5 losses came against teams that are going to be playing in the New Year's Six Bowl. Not just one, but 4 of those games. That's Pittsburgh, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. 4 losses, 4 teams that are playing for a lot more than this game here. Notably, Purdue will be without its defensive starter, George Karlaftis. If I said that wrong, Mr. George, I'm very sorry. I will not forget your name come NFL Draft Day. He's a stalwart for the Boilermaker defense, and he's going to be headed to the NFL Draft. Purdue also has their star wide receiver who's going to be out for this one, too. I'm going to go with Tennessee to win, but I'm going to go with a money line on this one.
Look, this could be a shootout, which seems to be par for the course for this bowl season. Purdue will be without their top receiver, David Bell, as he preps for the NFL Draft as well, and that, I think, is that small difference. I like the Vols here with the points.
Like you guys said, I think it is going to be a shootout. Tennessee averaging too many points. They're much more talented on the offense. Hate to do this, but I'm agreeing with you guys again. I like Tennessee. Let's talk about the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. This should have been an amazing matchup with the Pittsburgh Panthers taking on Michigan State. Maybe it still will be. I don't know, fellas. What do you think?
I say you give me a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and a peach smoothie or peach ice cream sundae, and I'm good to go. But this was going to be one of the better bowl games this season. Both of these teams can score and both can play good enough defense. But that said, Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett, 3rd in the Heisman voting this year, he's out. Michigan State running back Kenneth Walker Jr. was 6th. They both announced that they're going to be opting out to prepare for the NFL Draft. This game's lost a bunch of excitement. I do like both of these teams still, but if I were pressed, would go with Pittsburgh to win even without its starting quarterback.
The intrigue might be down, but I still like this matchup for a different reason. Penalties. Both teams have been worse than over 100 teams in the country when it comes to flags this year. If there's a prop bet you want to bet the over on, it's that. Anyway, as for the matchup, I think Pitt's been too good this year not to finish strong. I like them to win and have their best season since 1976.
Ooh, I'm liking the prop bet. A guy that loves Pittsburgh. I'm going to go Michigan State. I think Michigan State is the better team with who is going to show up. And this whole sitting out for draft, I just don't get it. Just play another game, fellas. Do it for us. Do it for the millions of dollars your program truly wants. Let's talk about the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. I don't love the name, but we'll talk about the game. You got Wisconsin and Arizona State.
No, this game, to me, has a small line. Wisconsin may have started the year slow, but they came back strong. They run it well, and they stop the run. That is 2 facets of a good and, dare I say, great program. Maybe not a great team this year, but definitely a great program. ASU is going to be without its top running back, who, again, opted out for the NFL Draft. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin to cover.
Like, this is a tough one, as neither team has performed well against the spread in 2021, but also trying to see if some starters are going to be able to play. But I'll go with this. ASU has been 16-9-1 against the spread as an underdog since head coach Herm Edwards took over. He's that kind of motivator, and I think it'll be enough for the Sun Devils to at least keep it close here.
Wisconsin, they're scoring 26 points a game and only giving up 16 on the year, where Arizona State is scoring 30 and giving up 21. So if those numbers are pretty close, Arizona State, I think, has enough firepower to cover the spread. So I'm going to go Arizona State +6. Let's talk about the Taxslayer Gator Bowl. The Wake Forest is taking on and playing Rutgers.
a game with two below-average defenses. Looking at the other side, Wake Forest is better on offense by far. I'm going to go with them, but I'm sticking with the money line here, as this line is just too big for my gut to handle, unlike a Taco Bell party pack.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. As much as I think Rutgers can surprise the entire country with a win, I just don't see a team that's 5-7 winning a bowl game like this. Wake Forest disappointed in the ACC championship. I think they're mad, and I think they want to prove their worth against their fill-in opponent. I think the Demon Deacons will win and cover easily.
I know that a lot of these teams haven't played in over a month, which means they should be rested. But Wake Forest, they're the better team. They're averaging 41 points a game. I just don't think Rutgers can nearly keep up. So I'm going to go Wake Forest. Let's talk about the CFP semifinal at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And there is a lot going on with this game. You have the Cincinnati Bearcats taking on Alabama Crimson Tide. As some in the South say, Roll Tide.
Alabama and Cincinnati. We're really going to see if Cincinnati belongs. I don't think they do, talent-wise, but obviously I think they deserve a spot based on the rankings. That said, I'm taking Bama by 3 touchdowns.
Look, I know everybody's writing off Cincy here, but I just don't want to hail Alabama as the almighty power we've come to recognize. They're just 6-6 against the spread this year, and I think this one's too big for me. Cincy wants to represent those not in the Power 5. They're going to come to play, and Bama will be without receiver John Mechie due to his rough injury to end the season. So I don't think they'll be as explosive. Don't get me wrong. I think the Tide win. I just don't think they cover.
Yeah, I think Bama could beat about 4 teams in the NFL, and I know people always say that they should take them on, but, college football isn't about money, they say. But this game is huge, and it's going to bring both of these programs not only the money, but it's really going to help a smaller, school in Cincinnati with their recruiting and everything. But with that being said, I like Brandon's prediction. I think Bama is just an impressive team like they always are. They've been winning games on average by 23 this year, and I could see them winning by 23 again. So I'm going Bama. So let's talk
Roll
about
Tide.
Roll Tide. Yeah, Roll Tide. Can you do that? If you're not know what we're talking about, watch our NFL picks and predictions and see what team I do for that each week. Let's talk about the other CFP semifinal at the Capital One Orange Bowl. Georgia, Michigan. I'm excited for this one.
This one should be a hard-fought, fun game to watch. I think this is going to be the best game to watch of all the bowl games, other than, of course, what happens in the championship game. But it really comes down to this. Is Michigan as good as Alabama? Meaning, can Georgia show up like they did in the first 12 games, or are they going to be not as good as expected like they were in that SEC title game? I think this stays close. I think we find out Michigan is as good as Alabama, and I think they may even be better. We shall see. I know. But I expect the Wolverines to upset the Bulldogs in this one.
Well, we know how good Georgia is, especially that defensive front. But if Michigan can run the football and control the clock, in my opinion, I think this might be another line that's too big for me. Michigan's 5-1 against the spread when it's under 10 points this year. And I'm not saying Jim Harbaugh's got his Wolverines to the top dog status, but I think they'll keep it close enough to make those dogs scared.
Yeah, Georgia's defense is good. Really good. Their opponents are only scoring 9 points a game this year, but they haven't played Michigan yet. And again, I think they are good enough to potentially win this game, but keep it close. I like Michigan plus 7.5. The Outback Bowl. No long, crazy names for this one. Penn State, Arkansas. Brandon, tell us all about it.
The winner gets a Bloomin' Onion Trophy. Both teams aren't as good at looking as they were, say, in late September, but that's really how the cookie crumbles. I do like, or the Bloomin' Onion, how that crumbles. I do like Penn State, who is holding teams to 16 points a game, more than a touchdown less than Arkansas. I'm going to take the Nittany Lions to win. What the hell is a Nittany Lion?
I know what Bloomin' Onion is, though. I think Arkansas will have too much firepower here. The Nittany Lions will be without their top safety and wide receiver, while the Razorbacks are coming off 3 solid wins and a close loss to Alabama, but playing good football and enough for me to like them here. In this one, I like Arkansas.
I like Arkansas as well. They're 8-3 against the spread this year, and they're winning each game by a touchdown, and they're getting 1.5. So I'm going to go with it. Next, we have the VRBO Citrus Bowl, Iowa, Kentucky. Should be a good one.
High-scoring Kentucky or low-scoring plodding Iowa. The Wildcats score 10 more points per game and average 135 more yards per game than the Hawkeyes. Iowa plays up to competition and has since Kirk Ferentz started in 1999, but they don't have a strong quarterback. I'm going with Kentucky to cover.
Look, this seems to be a good Iowa defense going against a good Kentucky offense. I think offense is too prevalent in this year's bowl games to believe that Iowa will get enough turnovers to slow Kentucky down. Mark Stoops has had his Wildcats score over 50 points their last 2 games. I think they can handle this one.
It seems to be offense versus defense seems to be the theme of the bowl games this year. And like you guys said, there's too much firepower for the Wildcats. I like a -3. Let's talk about the Rose Bowl game presented by Capital One Venture X.
It's tough to beat a team twice in one season, but Utah did just that against Oregon. We all know Oregon beat Ohio State. That said, OSU is better now than it was in September when the two teams played each other. I like OSU to win here by 10 points.
Yeah, I think the Buckeyes are just too strong overall facing an overachieving Utah team. Let me just point out that over a month ago, Ohio State smashed then number 11 Michigan State 56-7. I'm not saying it's going to be that bad, but I don't think the Utes have enough to keep it close.
Yeah, Ohio State is obviously, in my opinion, the better program, the better team this year. They have the potential to just kind of put it to them. Utah, though, they had a pretty good year. And like you said, they have overachieved. So why not overachieve one more time? I'm going with Utah in the points.
I was just going to say, it just doesn't seem right to see the Oklahoma State Cowboys in the Rose Bowl. That's just a weird one for me. But man, Notre Dame had a strong finish to the season and one of the worst ends to the pre-post regular season with Brian Kelly bolting to LSU. Notre Dame's best running back is out due to opting for the NFL draft, a theme this year. And OSU has a strong defense. I'm taking the Cowboys in an upset.
Well, with head coach Brian Kelly leaving for LSU, Notre Dame will enter this big game with coach Marcus Freeman, and I like it. In a game where it could be a defensive battle, I like the newness and potential unpredictability that can come from Freeman and can hurt with inconsistencies that we've seen from Oklahoma State and coach Mike Gundy in the past.
Yeah, you got number 5, Notre Dame, number 9, Oklahoma State. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Maybe it even is the bowl game that everybody wanted to see because it could be the best one, but I like Notre Dame here. Let's go with the last one that we're going to talk about of the bowl games. It's the Baylor Bears and the Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral has 20 touchdown passes and just 4 interceptions. It's pretty incredible. But don't overlook Baylor's Gary Bohannon, who's got 17 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. It's going to be a shootout, and I see Mississippi winning by a field goal.
Look, I've been saying I like offense a little more this year in bowl games, and Ole Miss has one to look forward to watching here. I don't think they'll disappoint. Even though Baylor's only allowed 30 points in one game this season, I think Coach Lane Kiffin will have his Rebels step up and give him his signature win as a head coach.
Baylor, the typical matchup, just like we were talking about, defense versus offense. But I think Ole Miss is just too much that Baylor's not going to be able to stop them. And this is pretty much a pick'em game at this point. I like Ole Miss, just like you guys. We just covered every bowl game except for 2, the national championship and the game that is going to take place on the 4th of January. So make sure you guys come back for part 3. Take a look at the links in the description. We got some social media and some bonuses. Go make some money. And again, I'm Matt with Beard Laws.
Brandon McDermott, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch.
And Matt Brown at the Ohana Jones.
Thanks again, everybody. Good luck. Go make some money and Happy New Year. Take care, everybody.